She's got one hand on the wheel and the other reshaping the truck industry. G'day, I'm Shane Jacobson, and this is How You're Travelling, a podcast from Healthy Heads. Now, today I'm chatting with the wonderful CJ, a road train driver turned social media game changer, sharing the real ups and downs of trucking life, burnout, and building community from the cab. She's with me now, CJ. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mate, pleasure. I've got to ask, got to start it. How are you travelling?
It's been a heavy few weeks for me, if I'm honest. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, but we're on the other side of it now, I think, and we're rebuilding and we're feeling all right.
Can I ask? Because I asked the question, you gave me an honest answer, which is actually what this show is all about, being willing to ask someone how they're travelling, which I just did. For those listening, will think this is a setup. I had no idea how you were going to answer that, CJ. So can I ask, what has the last few weeks been?
So I had to, over the last few months, I've been really toying with the idea of stepping away from my full-time job. Which is very scary because my whole career I've always had a stable, traditional kind of job. And I hit what I would call a burnout, and I had to make the really tough decision to take a step back. Thrown into that, I had to put down I hadn't been home for about 3 months, came home to put down my horse of 25 years that I'd had since I was a kid. Found out I had to move out of my home. I've moved interstate. I've had a nonna die. And decided to go casual at my job to go full time into my own business, which and it's just a lot, I think it takes a toll on you, but I'm always very honest and open with everyone. But it just compounded, when it rains, it pours.
I'm so sorry to hear you've been through those weeks, and thank you for being so honest with us about that. And again, I'm sorry for all those losses. That's a lot. While we're doing the telling of truth, I'm about to bury one of my best mates tomorrow. So we're living proof that you never know what someone's going through, and that's why we've got to say, hey, how you're traveling, So I should let the audience know this talking to people and communicating with people is something you do incredibly well. Your social media world, you've got over 100,000 people that you communicate with. But we should start all the way back to, I said it very quickly in the intro, that you're a road train driver. I'm incredibly jealous. I'm only got articulated. You're a road train driver, so you've beat me. Can you tell us a bit about that? Because for those of which there's many people that do follow you, but for those that don't and those listening and hearing your story for the first time, can you tell us a bit about your journey on the road first? Let's give them your credentials.
Yeah. Okay. So I do drive road trains and I love it. I've been driving trucks professionally since 2016. So at this stage, what is that, 9 years?
Yeah.
I did have a corporate career for 7 years prior to this.
What was that? I don't even know about that.
Yeah, as an insurance broker.
Well, because you left that. And that was going well for you, wasn't it? Yeah, that was going really well for you. I do know this. I forgot I knew it, if that makes sense to say. Okay. That was going well for you, and then you walked away from that and went, I'm going to go and drive like a concrete truck, is how it started.
Yeah, it blows my mind that you know any of this. So, I was doing quite well in that industry, but just kind of, it wasn't really fulfilling for me anymore. And my father, I grew up on an orchard, and so we're farming, and my dad had gone full-time truck driving, and his boss always said to me if I ever wanted to give it a go to let him know. But I was chasing the corporate career because everyone makes you think that that's what success looks like. Have the white picket fence, the long-term relationship, the corporate career, you're doing well. But I really wasn't fulfilled. And my sister started driving. She took that position that was offered to me, and I was so jealous because she had the freedom,
Is she older or younger? I've got to ask. Is she older or younger, and by how many years?
4 years younger.
Right. Be damned if my little sister's going to take my work.
I know. And she was earning more money than me. She had the freedom that she was out on the road. She was going to bakeries. I was like, making all these friends on site, and she convinced me to come home. So I left Brisbane, left my career, and came home to do that. So that's how I got my foot in the door.
Are we allowed to know where home is for those?
Adelaide Hills.
Adelaide Hills.
Yeah.
I
So
know
I
the
guess,
irony that you drive
yeah,
road trains, Adelaide Hills. You know that coming down the Adelaide Hills there. There's all those
yeah, there's,
all those sand off ramps because it's just a truck brake
yeah.
nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah, well, road trains are definitely not something that's able to get through there. But
No.
I was driving truck and dog tippers, which are quite long and 57 tons, so still pretty big through those winding hills, and I loved that. But I've had a career in the industry for 9 years, but now I find myself with the highest license possible in Australia. I've driven dangerous goods as well, driving fuel tankers, triple road trains, and the last 15 months I've been in WA driving triple and quad road trains over there. And it's been great. It's been really, really awesome. I guess the reason I've kind of hit this point now is that I was working those big hours over there, and most people would come home and have a week off or 2 weeks off to rest. But me, I was hopping on a plane and going to here, there, and everywhere, doing all these other engagements that my social media has then presented me, which I'm so blessed and I'm so lucky. I'm privileged. But I did burn the candle at both ends, and that's just where I'm at the moment.
So are we okay to discuss that burnout and how I
Yeah,
assume it crept up on you, if that's how you felt it happened to you?
yeah, and like I'm an open book, so just like even though I've
Yeah.
got goosebumps, like talking about it because I feel very vulnerable about it. I do. I've always held myself in a place where I want to be honest with people. I've always had a rule, like with my social media, that from day one I'd always wear no makeup. I would wear baggy clothes and no filters on my face, because I found that if people were to meet me in real life, I want to see them to know that who they see on the screen is exactly who they meet in person.
Mm.
So that's always been something that I've been very strong about. So I guess with me, I just found myself, I didn't have the time for the people that mattered the most. So
Ah.
I couldn't answer phone calls to my family. I was getting very short with my loved ones. And yeah, just a lot of that stuff, like just very intolerable to things, and just getting sick all the time. I've been nonstop sick for months, and I'd just get over one sickness and then get another one. And I think, when was it? Like early this year, maybe, I found myself in hospital with a migraine, and that was it. That's where I really was like, oh wow, something's going on here. So, but still kept pushing. I went straight from hospital back on a plane back to WA and went straight back into work. But it just all compounds and builds up on you. So, yeah, I guess that's where I am now. I worked so hard. I realized that I missed some really valuable time with my family members. And I came home a month or two ago to an empty house. My sister had moved back to the farm to live with me and with her family. And I was like, I just thought I had time. I thought I had time that they would be there and I could just hustle for a while. And then now here I am in a position where I don't need to work full time. And I came home and they've all moved out and moved interstate. And that kind of was a really heartbreaking moment for me, where I was like, oh, here I was thinking that I was doing the right thing, hustling so hard. And the one thing you can't get back is time.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm just in a real moment right now where I'm like, okay, how do I still do it all, but still give the loved ones and the ones that need my time that attention?
Can I ask you a question that I think it's no mystery that you work in a male-dominated space. Was one of the things driving you? Was there a bit of a mission? Because you're a go-getter. That's what I know about you. I think the best way to make you do something would probably be to tell you can't do it. I imagine. I think you're one of those people, right? Am I
feel
right?
so seen. Yeah. That's yes, yeah.
So, in that case, I bet you can't make me rich. Do you just send me money now? No. Anyway, bad idea. So
I see your check.
So was part of your drive, and in life, I do think we have so many distractions that they're not a bad thing at all, that you would have, as a younger you, gone, I'm going to show people I can drive a truck. Not just any truck, I'm going to drive a road train. And I bet there's no mystery to you, to the fact that you've got the biggest license, for the want of better terms, the most expansive, the most extensive. You can drive anything on an Australian road, can't you?
Yeah.
That's the thing. And again, I'm nowhere near. I've got articulated, or semi as we used to call it, and then you've got, you got multi-combination, and not only that, you're allowed to have anything on the back. Even if it goes bang, pop, whiz, it can be dry powder, it can be petrol, you can drive it all. I bet this was a mission for you to go, I'm going to do it better longer, stronger than others. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah. And it's to my own detriment. But I never want to look weak. I never want to look like I can't do what everyone else can. And I have a need and a want to do better than other people. And it's not to discredit anyone else, it's just to show that I deserve the seat at the table. And so this is stuff I've never really spoken about, if I'm honest. But yeah, it is. I have to prove to be treated with the same level as respect. I need to work 10 times harder. And that's not to put shame on anyone that's I've worked for or worked with. It's just the realities. And people will say that that's not true, but anyone like me that's in this industry will say exactly the same thing. So
And
I haven't, yeah.
and is it a bit of both? Is it a bit that it's the pressure you put on yourself, but it's because of what you have experienced in this industry? Because you're not wrong, are you? And I think anyone near the industry knows it's true, mate. And that is that you do have to be that bit better to be accepted as equal. So
Yeah.
that is true. And then there's your pressure you're applying to yourself, which is to rise above that level so that you are equal at the table. But then I know you're a person of great pride and for good reason, and that is you don't only want to be at the table, you want to be seen. And not only that, you want to prove, in fact, I can actually do it better than most of you. So there you go. And
Yeah.
that's what's had you behind that wheel doing. And just to give us an idea, you're doing some long haul stuff as well, yeah?
Yeah,
Like
I've done a bit of everything. I'm a master, like, what is it? Like
jack of
a
all
jack of
trades
all
master.
trades. Yeah, I would say that I'm not. And then
But,
I
you, but
also
you're
have that.
just CJ. Just sorry to cut you off. You're actually not. You actually are the master of one. Like you mastered it. Like that. Isn't it funny? You're saying jack of all trades, master of none. You absolutely mastered driving heavy,
Yeah,
long haul vehicles.
I think that there's a certain element of shame as well. Of like, um, I'm the kind of person that always wants to keep growing and do better and go bigger and challenge myself. I get very bored when I get stagnant at something. So that's why my whole career I've continuously grown and got as far as I can. And now I've done this. But then there's a whole like, my internal dialogue of like, does it look like I am just giving up on things? Or does it look like I'm like, I haven't done this for 5 years or whatever like that. But there's a lot of mental like trying to figure out like I just got to do things that make me happy, but also especially being in the public eye now as well, I do worry a little bit about what other people think. And it's like I'd be a liar if I said I didn't care about what other people think. But I never started my social media to try and be famous. I never tried to do my social media to make myself look better than anyone else. So I think that's a real key thing I need to say here is that like, yes, I want to be the best I can be and I want to work harder as hard as I can to prove myself, but it's not to say that I'm better than anyone else. It's just to prove that I deserve to be there. I deserve these opportunities because my very first job in the mines, I got told straight away by the manager that took that supervisor goes, I don't want you here. I don't know what you're going to do to be able to help the team. I got told I had to employ you, right?
Wow.
But that he got told by someone who does know me and does trust me and knows that I would be good for the team. But he didn't want a female on site. I'm like so much shorter than everyone else, so much smaller. He thought that I wouldn't be able to be an asset to the team. But once I showed after a week how hard I work, he came and apologized to me and said he was wrong. But he still said it in the first place.
Yeah.
So many people think that as a woman, we get opportunities because of our gender. The reality is I don't believe that at all. It's like we might get a go, but we have to prove ourselves to get there or to keep that seat. So yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
It is a lot, mate. And I hope you don't mind me letting people know because, this is a podcast that I'm looking at you. I can see you're quite emotional when you say all this. And I'm just letting the audience know that these are these words that are leaving you now. I can see that you mean every one of them and every bit of what you're saying. And that this is not, I can assure the audience now that I'm looking at you as a father. I'm looking at you going, oh my God, if you're my daughter, I'd be putting my arms around you going, oh mate, But as as a human, I just want everyone to know that I can see that you're meaning every one of these words, and some of these words do feel to me like they're leaving you for the first time on this podcast.
Yeah.
So thank you for being. We say the word vulnerable, but also we thank you for being so honest, because that's what we're trying to do. You doing what you're doing now. The irony for me is that you've said that you'd be worried about people thinking you've given up, and yet what I'm watching you do right here now with me is what you've always done, which is continue to be brave and push further than most people would, because you're being more honest now than most people ever would.
Yeah, well, it's a fine line. Like, I don't want people. I love the industry I work in, and I think it can provide an amazing life for people, and that's what I'll continue to advocate for. But I also want people to know they're not alone when they have a bit of a tough time,
Yeah.
because when we're in those cabs by ourselves, our minds can wander and think that we're the only ones going through that at the time. And so it's a very big community full of very like-minded people. So if this just reaches one person to know that they're not alone when they're going through the shit, yeah.
So one thing I want to touch on that I have experience in with your social media world about, and this is not a world most people have to go through, but just quickly for you, I've got a bit of experience in that space, and I've been cyberbullied over things I've done. I did a wear a mask the campaign, which was just to get people to wear a mask, and I got cyberbullied and everything else. One thing I taught myself, which I had to learn during that period, but it works in any other scenario about caring what other people think. I think we all do. There's some people out there, I mean, you've almost got to be a narcissist not to care what anyone thinks of you and do whatever you want to do, and you don't care about their reaction. But I think it speaks volumes about a person that doesn't care what people think. I think it sounds on paper like that makes them strong, but I beg to differ. In fact, I don't beg to differ, I just differ. And what I decided, the thing I learned out of my experience, CJ, was I will never let anyone else be responsible or have control of the lever that makes me happy or sad. That I want to be in control of when I feel sad and when I feel happy. But the one thing I would say to you, mate, as a fan and as a fellow human, I just don't give anyone else control over my happiness. So if someone can say something to you online that can make you feel bad, there's no way I'm going to let anyone be more powerful than me that they can control my happiness. My wife and children can. You're only as happy as your saddest child as a parent. And I'm only as joyous as the relationship I'm in, and thank my wife's my best mate. So I've got all that. Like, they all make me feel happy every single day. So that's great. They're allowed to do that, but I won't let anyone else do that, would be my advice to anyone here who has that thought of being worried about what other people think. Having said that, I, of course, do want people to like me, like all of us. So that's a reality.
I think another thing about the mental health or the mental fitness side of things is that if you're in a good mindset and you are really confident in yourself, like, so right now I know my abilities as an operator, and I'm really proud, and I know that I'm very happy with what I can do, and I know that I'm good at what I do. So people's comments about my operating doesn't affect me anymore. It used to. But if someone catches you in a low moment and they say comments, that can really affect you. So I've had moments where an article was written about me, and the article was beautiful. It's a clickbait caption. It was like, Insta famous truckie, blah, 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 right? And people just went to social media abusing the shit out of me, not reading the article, not knowing my history or my experience. And at that time, I was really exhausted. I was in a mining camp. I was in a donga by myself, isolated, which feels like a jail cell. Yeah. And it really, really affected me. But if you're in a room with your girlfriend, like, I promised myself, if I start getting trolled again, I'm logging out. I'll have a cocktail night at home with my girlfriends. We'll sit around and we'll read them on a big screen. And we'll laugh at it because it would be funny. Yeah. If you're surrounded by people that you love and people who know you, those comments are funny. But if you're in an isolated outback town in a donga by yourself reading them, you think that these comments are real, right? Like, you think that the whole world thinks that. So there's like little strategies I've taken on to deal with that. But yesterday I posted a photo of me from 12 years ago when I was an insurance broker. I'm sitting at my desk. Someone sent me a private message being like, wow, you're a little bit slimmer. You're something along the lines of my weight, right? And I'm like, I'm 35 years old. I do not have the same figure that I did at 23. Like, but the fact that I do have some insecurities because I haven't been training, that comment has affected me really badly.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm still a fairly like fit, athletic kind of person. I'm not fat by any means, but those comments have been with me for 24 hours now.
Imagine being
So
me, CJ. They can accuse me of that, and I'm the very thing they accuse me of. I'm the very thing they're saying. I still won't let him in my head. I still won't
good,
let him in.
good.
So,
But that's the
CJ, can
thing.
we?
It's about having tools, the right tools in your belt, and knowing how to address those things.
So that's what I want to come to now, which is, so you've had these externals, and just so you know, I'm so sorry for the journey you've had. By the way, I want someone out here to say to you, I'm sorry for the journey you've had, the way you've had it. I'm thrilled for the journey you've had with the job you've done, but I'm so sorry you had to deal with these people that do this online, because I want to speak on behalf of humanity to go, and I know you know this, they're wrong. And you don't deserve to hear that. And I'm saying that for anyone else out there that's read anything on social media. And I get told by people, oh, don't worry about what they say. And I just want you to know, CJ, it's got to me too in the past, irrespective of how strong I am at times. It has gotten to me in the past. I've had comments made to me that I take incredibly personally from some complete stranger who'd never say it to your face. But let's talk about some coping mechanisms here. Here's the thing. So for those listening, we've all got our own things, our own journey, where along the way, along the road, if you will, pardon the pun, you get some emotional kangaroo that slams you, which you don't even see coming at you, right? And I'm trying to use, driving terms, but you know what I mean.
I love it.
You get T-boned, and you're not even at an intersection. You know what I mean? Emotionally, I think the thing that gets us is when you come to an intersection, you do look left and right, and that's how you avoid danger. It's when you're just sailing through life normal and you're not even at a crossroad and you get T-boned, that's when we get shocked by it. That's when we're not ready. That's when we didn't have our belts pulled on tight. That's when we didn't have both hands on the wheel, right? And that's what catches us by surprise. So this is what's happened to you. You entered innocently the world of social media, had things. So you've had something affect you, and everyone has their different story. So firstly, you've said it before, you're alone in a cab, because you did that. Like on your long stints, how long would you be on a shift, on a long trip? How long were you alone in a cab with your own thoughts?
Yeah, I've done a few trips. So when I was in the mines, they're 12.5 hour shifts. But that's all right, because normally you're talking to your mates on the radio, like passing and waving, you got the camaraderie. I've driven across Australia from Perth to Queensland. I've done that. When I was in Adelaide, it was Adelaide to Cooper Pedy. So that's a 8 hour drive each way.
Yep.
But I've done days like when I did across Australia, that's, a lot of time, no phone reception, can't call a mate. You're sleeping in the truck, you're showering in truck stops, and any truck driver that's listening to this is not unusual behavior. Like I'm just doing what everyone else does. Like this is not anything special, but and I've got a lot of mates that do. They spend a week or multiple weeks. Like when you do harvest, that can be 6 weeks that you're pretty much working every day. You got your fatigue day, but you're still working big hours. They could be 16-hour days. So long time in your own thoughts. And when I get bad, when I'm in a bad place, they say call a mate. The reality is when you get bad, you don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to portray my negativity on anybody. So then you can spiral very easily, because I don't like asking for help. I don't like putting my negativity onto other people's. I like to share positivity. I like to be there for other people when they're going through the shit, but I don't want to burden anyone else with that, which I know. I've done therapy. I know all the tools. That's bad.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you're in that truck, sometimes I've been like driving and I'm like, oh, I feel this negative thing. And I'm like, okay, buckle up. Let's just see how dark this can get. And then like a few days later when you're feeling good, you're like, why did I do that to myself? It's like you want to hurt yourself a little bit. But the reality, and like I'm a very optimistic, positive person, but just sometimes I think no one can say that they're never affected by something that isn't like a bad mental health period or day. I think we're all struck with it at some stage. And some people just, unfortunately, are struck with it worse than others. So yeah, sorry, I went off, but we could be in the truck for 12 hours, 16 hours, days on end.
So no, you didn't go off at all. The reason I like the fact that you're taking the time to explain this is there's there's other drivers sitting in a cab right now hearing you talk, going, no, I know what she's talking about.
Mm.
And even though you may be of a different era, of a different personality type, the truth is what you all experience or endure is identical. As in the conditions you drive in, you drive the same roads in similar trucks, similar distances. You know what I mean? You may carry a heavier payload than a lot of other drivers with your skills, but the truth is, none of that matters when you're stuck in a cab. Like
No.
like you'd be going, once you're in a cab, you stay on the black stuff, stay in between the
Mm-hmm.
white lines. You're doing $1.10, as they say, stay on $1.10 on the freeway, or 100, depends on where you're at. And
100 if we're truck drivers.
yeah, 100 if truck drivers because you're speed
I will
limited.
not admit to, yeah, I
Yeah,
will not
yeah, I know.
admit
Well,
to any
true. Well,
speeding.
yeah,
But,
yeah. I know you're speed limited now, which is bad. It's bad, it's terrible. But you know what I mean. You got to, as you say, stick on a dollar, stay on the black stuff, all that kind of stuff, rubber side down.
yeah,
All that's all great. But literally, the work environment is identical, irrespective of who the person is, and then the problems that enter their head enter that cab, don't they? The problems that you take in your head that aren't working, then you drag into that truck, and then you
yeah,
don't have other humans. I know there's CBs, and I know there's nods on from drivers from the other side of the road, and that's great, but they become a thing of repetition. There's no more or less emotion in a nod. It's just recognition that you're all doing the same job and at the same height
yeah.
off the road.
And some days, so I had this thought like a while ago. I was driving. There's a stretch that we do sometimes. It's a 5 hour turnaround with no phone reception. So we leave one mine and we head out of town for 5 hours before we get back to phone reception, right? And some days that is bliss. It's paradise. You're sitting. The views are beautiful. You're taking it all in. Oh, isn't this gorgeous? Like it's almost like all this weight gets lifted off your shoulders, right? But then other days, that exact journey can be hell. You are just you just can't get out of your thoughts, or every minute, every kilometer, like, oh my God, am I half an hour done? Or, like, oh my God, it's only been 5 minutes. It can change so much. And also I just want to say, yeah, I'm driving the road trains doing this, but a person driving a concrete agitator in the city is under just as much stress, right? Because they have to deal with people on work sites that are rude and arrogant, car drivers that don't want to give them space. So no matter what area of the industry, everyone goes through some kind of struggles, so I always want to make sure that I give credit to those who are driving the smaller, I'm doing little quote unquote, smaller, easier kind of trucking, because it's not. I never want those guys because I know so many people who have raised families driving concrete trucks, and then the bigger guys want to shit on them, thinking that they're all superior and bigger and this and that. It's like, this person's put their 3 kids through private school, they've paid their mortgages off, and they've done great through doing that. You don't have to keep progressing into the higher, riskier, more stressful stuff, because that is still a really honourable job.
And the men and women driving a 3-ton truck stuck in city traffic would wish for a clear road ahead, yeah? So,
yes.
And clear road, cleared mine, and, all your road and not your traffic kind of thing.
Mm.
So, mate, I've got to ask, the tools that you've learned coming on the show makes me think that you're actually good at, or starting to get better at, taking things on, being honest about stuff. What are the tools you've used so far that have helped? And also, what stuff hasn't helped that you're still working on?
I'm a work in progress. I think everyone is. In the past, I have done therapy for situational things that I've gone through, like breakups and stuff like that. So I've learned a lot of psychology tools, I guess, learning about is it ACT therapy? So when you get an emotion, figuring out if it's useful or not, and then learning how to deal with that. And I listen to a lot of podcasts about psychology. I find them very fascinating, learning about how we react to things. So to me, podcasts and educating myself all the time, learning all those things are really good, because I find it fascinating. And also, if you know why you're having a reaction to something, that's really good. Then also diet is very, very important to nourish my body with good stuff. So if I'm nourishing my body with healthy foods, everything feels better. And then exercise, which is something that when I was training regularly, I was able to handle anything that was thrown at me. But then when my dog died, I used to go to the gym with my dog. So we'd do night shift, come home, have about 3 hours sleep, go to the gym together, have breakfast, then go back to sleep for the day. And that was our routine. When he died, I could not step back into that gym.
Was he a cab dog? Was he a dog that was with you in the
No,
truck? Okay.
nah, he was a border collie,
Okay.
but he was just my shadow. So if I wasn't at work, my dog was with me, guaranteed. And my dream was to have him in the truck with me. So, and then I went and did FIFO. So I got out of my routine with going to a gym. But I know that if I go for walks, if I exercise, if I nourish my body, I'm doing the best things I can. So my goal is actually today I'm going to be finding my new local gym and starting to get back into a routine, get back into cooking again, because the last like 15 months I have not cooked a meal at all.
So have you been doing the whole fast food
No,
quick
I'm still
gratification thing?
no. So I'm still healthy, but at a mindset, you've got a chef who cooks for you. So I've got very used to that. And then when I'm home for my very limited time, I'm out for meals every moment I get, catching up with friends. So although I pick healthy options, it's not like I'm not doing that. Going. I went to the supermarket yesterday for the first time to cook a meal, and I didn't know what to do. I had to go online to find a recipe, and it's just a matter of retraining myself. But with the tools, it's all about nourishing my body, eating healthy whenever I can possible, exercising, and understanding the psychology behind why we react to things that we do.
So do you notice very quickly that once you start the exercise, which you're starting to do, and the better food goes in, that your state of mind improves
100%.
like at exactly the same time? It's no coincidence, is it?
No coincidence.
It's not a fluke.
At
It's
all.
not a fluke or some crazy scheduling miracle that all of a sudden, oh my God, the week I started exercising again, I've found that day a bit easier. If you start the day with exercise, my wife says the same thing. If she doesn't start a day with exercise, the day starts badly. She actually said to me, in some ways, not starts terribly. She's positive state of mind like me. But she said it's if she misses a day, and she's been through a period, she's a lawyer and she has a stressful job environment where people bring her problems to her, and she does family law. It's a stressful world. People come at her, and every time someone says, "Oh, that's going to be uncomfortable," she says, "I live in uncomfortable." Any client coming to her is right in the middle of really uncomfortable. So when she misses her chance to do a bit of exercise, she said her day starts bad. Is that how you feel when you go away from it? You don't notice. Then when you come back, if you miss a day.
Yeah.
I
think more so you might not notice it because you can just slowly taper off and you don't realize yourself feeling shit. But as soon as you start training, you're like, oh, I forgot how good this is. Just like when you start eating really healthy but you just all of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel instantly so much better.
Now, is it any exercise? There's some people listening to this going, and I get it. I don't have time. It's funny. Arthur, our expert, we spoke to him about finding the time. And he said everyone says they don't have the time. And, one of the questions he asked me was, at the end of a week, how much time have you spent looking at social media? Like, check your phone. But, it's no mystery how I look. I think a lot of people in Australia have a rough idea what my body shape is. I am not doing marathons, but going for a walk and stuff, going for walks and things clear my head a little bit. I don't do enough of it. I've just started a new journey of returning back to eating healthier and starting more exercise.
That's awesome.
So what's a start for you? You know truck drivers, you are one, right? Like for them, for truck drivers and their schedules and the way it works, and when they get out of the truck, they just want to get away from the truck, but they probably want to go home and they probably want to see loved ones. Like all the things you drive away from, family and friends, you're in a rush to get back to, yeah? You don't feel like you're driving away from a gym. You're just driving away from family and loved ones. So when you get back, you want to get to the fam. So that world, you know truck driving so well. What is your advice to fellow truck drivers?
It's so interesting because my partner is actually an interstate truck driver. So I'm also starting to learn what that part of the industry looks like. I've done a few trips with him where I've seen what they eat. And it's a huge thing of like, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. So I jumped in the truck and we did a week trip together, and I was absolutely horrified at what food options he had, right? Like it was like just there's only so many places that are large enough for us to put our trucks in. Especially for him, he's on a very tight time schedule because he's got to get to the next state to get his time slot. So there's no chance to pull over and have an hour break here or there. It's like 15, half an hour, that's it. Got to keep moving. So it's quick, whatever he can get his hands on. And I was like, no wonder you feel like shit.
Yeah.
right? Like the food on hand, it's got to be quick, it's nasty, it's been in the bain marie, like this and that. And so then when I did harvest, he started to notice some of the snacks I was prepping. Like I was FaceTiming him from the other side of the country, like showing him what I was making. And then he started doing some of those little things, like just simple chopping up some veggies and taking some hummus. Just little things that you can eat while you're driving because you want to have healthy options and lots of them.
Mm.
And he lost, I think, 13 kilos in a matter of months just from just making a few little changes. So that was a big thing where, I go away for 14 days, but I've got the ability to have a chef and have access to a free gym and stuff like that. So for the long haul drivers, a big thing that they could benefit from is just doing a few of those little snacks. And so
Yeah.
I have seen, like, plug to Healthy Heads because they deserve it. On their website, they do have have resources for really quick, easy snacks, meals, and all of that aren't going to take that long and aren't going to be that costly. And it will actually save the drivers time and money throughout their week as well.
Mental health and body health are so connected. And Arthur, our expert, spoke a lot about this. Take a listen to this.
More and more research is coming out on the impacts of poor food on our mental health, and especially the links between inflammation and poor mental health. So high inflammatory food, your fatty kind of foods,
Right.
really unhealthy foods, create inflammation. You often hear doctors will say just from joints and alleviating joint pain, reduce inflammatory food.
Really?
Yeah, equally applies to mental health. I'm not saying it's going to, if you're really prone to mental health or you have depression, it's not going to cure that, but I always say 5% counts here,
Yeah.
6% there, and all of these things are contributing positive factors, and they're things we have great control over. And we know truckies are out on the road, we stop at a truck stop and, maybe change that food we're going to purchase.
I'm going to say it. It's been said a million times. I've already said it once. I may as well say it one more time, that it is the fuel. I mean, no one's going to put dirty fuel in a truck, yeah? Like, no one's going to go, it doesn't matter what fuel you put in a truck. You go, are you serious? Well, okay, we'll put petrol in your diesel engine and watch it go bang in seconds. Like, so it is, as we know, and we don't put really good oil inside the motor, and, it just is. You only put diesel in your truck, yeah? Because that's what it needs to run. And so the same with the driver, yeah.
Yeah, and as a female and weight conscious and appearance conscious, sometimes I will I won't feed myself enough.
Yeah.
And I don't have an eating disorder. I don't have a mental health disorder. It's just that sometimes I'm like, oh well, I don't probably need that, and like you just run on empty. Like you run and I forget to eat. I think that I don't really need that. That's fine. But at the end of each day, we fill our trucks. Every day, we top those tanks up with diesel.
Yeah.
And our bodies are exactly the same. As you said, machines, they need to be re-greased, refueled every day, and we should be doing the same to us. And sometimes I run myself empty, and I'm like, why do I feel so sick? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten for 12 hours. And so, as I said earlier, I'm a work in progress myself. I will never stand here and say that I've got all the answers. I will never say that I am better than anyone else. But I think if we keep trying to lift each other up and give each other tips that work for each other, and these are tips that I've learned from other people. Just have lots of little snacks, lots of little options. None of us have time to sit on the side of the road and have lunch for an hour. And if you do, please tell me your trick, how.
Yeah,
because
tell me who you're working for. Yeah.
yeah. But the reality is, like, we're all trying to get the goods to where they need to be, and stuff.
What's the old gag? You must be hauling trucks to have that much time.
Yeah.
Bang. That's what was it?
Yeah.
Must be hauling watches. Must be hauling watches. Must be hauling clocks to have that much time in a truck.
Yeah, and I think the general public have no idea, and they'd have no idea why trucks just have to keep moving, or why they're getting frustrated at caravans that are holding us up, because that half an hour that caravan's holding us up means that we might not get to our destination, because we run logbooks, so we have to be pulled up and parked before our logbook ends, right? And our destination might be 15 minutes up the road, but we can't get there because our logbook's finished, right?
And so just because a lot of people don't understand the logbook thing you're describing. What you're saying, I know, is the truth, is literally the truth. I know a lot of young people use the word literal now and they go, I literally died. You go, no, you didn't literally die. I literally, no. But you're being quite literal that if you run out of logbook time, I know we say run out of logbook, but you run out of logbook time, you got to pull over because you cannot be behind that wheel. You've broken the law. That's the thing is, if you're 15K shy or 15 minutes or whatever it is shy of your destination, which might be where you pull up and it's where you're used to pulling up and it may be where there's a toilet or a shower or a meal or whatever, you have to pull up on the side of the road and you're done. And then you've got a break, and depending on where that is in your logbook, if it's the end of the day, that's it. You're hauled up for, 8 hours until your next drive, yeah?
Yeah, it just depends. There's 3 different classes of logbook, depending on your accreditation. So standard, basic fatigue, and advanced fatigue management. So we'll just say your standard means that you can only do 12 hours of working in a day. But also our trucks are really large and we can't just pull over on the side of the road. There's only a certain limited amount of parking bays or areas that you can get to. Some truck stops you'll see there's a truck parking area and you'll see cars and trailers or cars and caravans parked in a truck spot. That could mean the difference of a driver being able to pull up and have his or her 7-hour fatigue break. And I think that people are just not aware of all of these legalities and stuff that we have to do. Like I drove from Adelaide to the Gold Coast a few days ago, and there was no law about how long we could drive. We could have driven 24 hours straight if we wanted to, right?
What truck were you in though?
I was in a car.
Oh, I was going to say in a car. Well, I was going to say because you can't do that in a truck, but
no.
And the other thing we're going to introduce to you, I know in cars, I know that I can drive around Australia and not go to sleep. I mean, I'd have a crash and probably die in the process. But yeah. And the other thing is too, if it's not a designated sleeper cab, you've got your time away. Your time has to be away from the truck, doesn't it? If it's not a designated sleeper cab, you can't be found sitting. You can't be found in that truck if it's not designated as a sleeper cab. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of legalities around that. I probably won't. I don't want to be on a podcast.
Yeah, no, but well, the reason I say all this stuff out loud is exactly as you're saying and suggesting, which is people don't understand all of and there's all of these. I mean, they are pressures. That's all part of you're lonely in a truck, and yet you have these rules. And everyone knows the speed limits. That's fine. That's not what you're talking about. But it's about you having a certain amount of time to get to your next destination, and you've got employers who are expecting you to meet those markers.
You've got your allocators, you've got your clients, you've got the law, NHBR, police, you've got cameras that are tracking you from where you go under one and then you go to the next one, and they're making sure that you haven't sped, they're making sure that you've had your fatigue breaks. There's so many added stresses that the general public doesn't know, and I don't ever want to say that people don't enter the industry because that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the realities is that an operator is not just a dumb operator.
No.
Couldn't do anything else. There's a lot that we need to think about all day, every day, and it can compound and add up.
And it's not just your hands at 10 to 2 with your foot flat on the right pedal, yeah? It's a bit more than that. I wish it was that easy.
Yeah.
Family and friends, I touched on it before, I mentioned it before, that the very thing that all you truck drivers do is get in a cab on your own and start the truck and drive away from family and loved ones. What impact does that have on you? And is it, would you say, one of the number one things that comes up amongst other drivers, that time away from family, even if you're okay with it, even if you deal with it okay, doesn't mean it's ideal, does it?
Yeah, it's so funny you asked me this question today because as we're speaking, I currently am not in a truck. I will get back to one very soon, but for the next couple of weeks, for this week, I'm not. So to me, going to work was my freedom. I love going to work. I love working hard. I love being out on the road. And so it's been interesting for me to have this week at home where I'm meant to be taking it easy and giving myself the reset, because now I'm just chomping at the bit to get back out there. So I know that a lot of truck drivers do love the freedom of being out on the road and love working hard and being out there. It is almost like an escapism, but they also do. And my feedback from a lot of men is that they miss their families. They miss their kids growing up. They have a lot of relationships break down because they're not around. Because, the partners are at home raising the kids. It's just like any kind of mining jobs especially. The partner at home gets used to raising the family how they do, and then the partner that's working away comes back and they disrupt the routine. So then I think that can cause a lot of angst between the families and stuff like that. And I'd say a bit the same for long haul drivers. But for me personally, at the stage that I am in my life, I enjoy being out on the road, and I enjoy the freedom that comes from that. But I'm sure if I have kids, it would be a very different story.
Yeah.
And I'd have to step away from working as much as I do. And that's why I'm diversifying myself so much and going into all this other stuff, so that if I do decide to go down that path, I have multiple income streams. Because as a woman in this industry, the reality is we might be able to drive pregnant for most of our pregnancy, but when it comes to the pointy end, we'd have to step away. And then there's a certain amount of time that you'd have to be at home caring for that child. And that's something that I really struggle with mentally, as someone who has pushed so hard to get to where I am, to then know that something like that could derail my career.
Yeah. And either way, as you said, even at this point, as you said, at this point in your life, if you see it as a form, you love getting out and hitting the open road, and
Yes.
for you, it's a joy to head out there. As you said, as soon as there's children involved, and at the moment you're the one behind and your loved one's heading away from you, so now you're feeling what it's like to be at home without them. That's a majority. There's a large majority of our kind of road driving workforce that do have a partner and children at home. And as you said, even if it works for them as escapism, I imagine when they come home, it's not all beer and Skittles, as we used to say. So it's not all harmonious. Those stresses, I think, are undeniable, and it's a pressure that's added to the relationship whilst they're on the road, and then yet it affects them when they come home. Because I'm sure there's scenarios where they go home and then they feel like they've got to contribute more or to try and play catch up, and that probably feels like time's racing ahead of them, and then they're back in the truck again.
Yeah, I've got some really beautiful mates as well who they just want so badly to be loved by somebody, and they want a relationship. But they're out on the road so much that they don't have the time to nurture and build a relationship with somebody. So it's a double-edged sword, really. They've worked really hard to build their life up and be able to provide, but they don't have the time to be able to find somebody. And then they think that there's something wrong with them, but it's not at all. They'd be wonderful providers, but to nurture a new relationship, sometimes that can be really challenging. I think a lot of them say that the women love the idea of having someone like them, but then they miss them too much. So you really need to find the right person who's willing to have you away.
So it's interesting when I speak to truck drivers, because you are part of this camaraderie group, there's you guys are road warriors, that go out there and, I'm putting movie titles on it, but you go out there and do the long haul stuff especially, but as you've identified in the past, there's people in smaller trucks on jammed roads that are experiencing pressures of a different kind, but either way it's pressure. But the truth is, so often drivers try and go, but it's the job. But you know what? It's what we all do. But you know what? I'm not the only one out there. But you know what? I'm on my own, but on the road, I'm not the only one doing it. I think it comes as part of a culture that's so quick to state, I'm just one of the many who are doing this. But my point would be to all of you, and I hope you know that we see that what you do is harder as a job than what most have to endure, that your time away from loved ones is not normal, that a long day on the road stuck in a cab with no one sitting beside you to say how you're travelling is not a normal day's work for other people. People in warehouses that do what they do, we've heard from people in the warehousing game go through similar stresses in that they're in a massive building surrounded by people, and they don't get a chance to talk to each other at all. They really don't. They're being spoken to by a headset, not a human, and telling them where to pick their next parcel. So that it's just this is exactly why we're doing these podcasts, because I'll take myself out of it. I don't drive a truck as a professional job. We see you guys and go, we see you, and we see how hard it is, and we we at Healthy Heads want to make sure that you guys get to tell your stories and other people get to hear you tell your version of what you've experienced so they can go, oh my goodness, I'm not alone in my cab. I am alone in my cab, but I'm not alone in the thoughts I have when I'm alone, which sometimes are a little bit darker than we'd want them to be. What would you say? You've spoken to more than your fair share of drivers on the road, and if not by two-way, and if not, you know them anyway. Do you think, as much as you have a camaraderie amongst other drivers, that what you do is forgotten or underappreciated by other people in the country? And I know you're going to want to be careful about what people might say to you on social media, but would you think that in some ways what you guys endure in a day is forgotten or not known by a lot of people?
I think it's I say this all the time. I don't like to think that people are just being jerks. I like to think that they just don't know. So that it's not that they're being like when people do silly things on the road. I just like to think that they're not active. They're not trying to actively be. I'm trying to figure out how to word this, but do you know what I mean? Like,
they're not trying to be malicious or hurt you or get in your road or stop your day or make your day worse. That's not their intent. They're just so magic at doing it.
Yeah, so they don't understand what a blind spot is, or they don't understand the braking distance, or they don't understand our logbooks or the pressures we're under. So I think that in general, the general public has no idea, and they've given us a bad name. Teachers and schools are straight away saying, like, they're never advocating for people to get into this industry. You know, it's like a last resort kind of thing. In school, I never got told that I could be a truck driver. There was never any kind of idea that you could get into the transport industry. I think we need to really start talking from the grassroots of like showing that it is a good industry. And it's very, when I talk about like the struggles, like, yes, there are struggles, but there's struggles in everything. And you're right with what you're saying, but it was very kind what you said earlier about us, like all of us truck drivers saying that what we feel is like it's not that special. But I think that's just like ingrained in us, like we have to work hard, and it's an industry that's needed and necessary. And I can't look weak. It's an industry that you want to, you have to be strong, otherwise you won't survive. And then the added stress of being online as well, like you've got to be so careful with what you say and support your community and make everyone feel like they're all a part of it.
CJ, can I let you in on a secret?
Yeah.
I wasn't being kind, I was being honest. Made you humble again. See, you did it again. I wasn't even being kind, I was just being honest. It's a tough job. I want to ask you two other questions, which is, and you can be honest about this, what do you love about the job? What do you hate about the job? And I say that because, again, there's going to be drivers listening, warehouse workers that won't have considered these bits of your life on the road, and there'll be drivers out there living it, going, oh, yeah, that's us. Yeah, glad you said it.
Okay, so the positives, there's a few. I love the freedom it provides me. I love the sense of pride that I get out of doing a good job, and knowing that I'm doing something that not every Joe Blow can do. So there's a lot of pride that comes in executing a job well done. The financial freedom that I have gained from this industry is really something, and something I'm really proud of as a single female of 10 years. Like, you know, I'm really proud of what I was able to do during that time. So I guess, yeah, the pride, the freedom, and the financial security would be the top three. The negatives is see, I'm not very good at doing that because I'm always trying to push the positive. But as a female in the industry, not enough toilet facilities and clean facilities to shower in, but basically just to go to the toilet. It's a big issue. I don't know how we're going to combat that, but
saying it out loud on a podcast like this that's run by big organisations who do care, I reckon you saying it out loud is a great start, mate. Yeah,
I've travelled across the country, and there's I could literally count on half one of my hand how many places had a female bathroom to have a shower in. The amount of places that the only option was to use the men's shower in a men's toilet, where men were coming in to use a bathroom that was dirty and filthy. I've got a video I've done of it, but or I have to use a disabled toilets, and I've got a lot of friends who actually have a disability, and I feel very uncomfortable using a facility that's for them. So yeah,
especially when you could think of nothing worse than having someone who is supposed to have access to that, and you're utilising it because you have no other option, and you're able-bodied, and they're going, I can't believe, I'm waiting for you, and you go, I'm so sorry, I had no other option, and they go, well, either do I. It would be a horrible circumstance for you to go, I didn't want to be in this position.
Yeah, I've been turned away from places being like, we don't have facilities for you, and you got to remember, like, so I'm constantly dehydrated just for those reasons, which is bad for my health. But anyway, that's a negative. Another negative would be the amount of red tape in our industry. People tried to make it safer. It's made it probably worse. The fines that we can endure as a truck driver if we spell something wrong in our logbook is astronomical. And fatigue breaks and stuff like that, which is super easy to miss. And the journey management plan. And then the next thing is that our industry has really lost the mateship. There's social media has been a really positive thing for me because I think that social media is really amazing and a powerful tool if used correctly. So for me, the community that I've built over TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram is just beautiful, right? It's you see, if I go to a truck show, the amount of people I get to meet in person that has been part of my community, and just all that is so cool. The amount of people that I've seen that have entered the industry because of videos that they've seen, knowing that they can too join and stuff like that's great. But a lot of people they see an incident on the road, and instead of pulling over and helping that person and saying, hey mate, are you okay? How can I help you? They're pulling their phones out, taking a video and posting it online. And then the absolute disgusting stuff that comes off that through comments of the heroes that weren't even there, don't even know the circumstances, is really, really damaging. People don't know the mental health situation of that person that was driving that. Like that, those comments could be really, really damaging. So I hate that is happening. That's not the old school. That is not what the industry is all about. Luckily in my real life, I don't see that. In my real life, everyone is great. We're all supportive of each other. We lift each other up. We mentor each other. But the keyboard heroes on some of these Facebook sites is just awful. And I just wish people would put their phones away in those instances, help a mate out and get them back on track instead of just taking a little sneaky video.
Yeah, for their own purposes rather than helping another human out. So, CJ, I've got some fun questions. Are you happy to play? Everyone's playing.
Please.
You can't say no. I mean, you can, but we don't want you to. What really lets the air out of your tyres? It can be personally, on the road. What makes your gears grind? What drives you mad?
Inconsiderate drivers.
Oh! You're going to mention braking distances again? I feel like you want to.
Okay, braking distances.
Can we just,
people cutting us off.
That's what it is. People don't get it, do they? If there's 30 metres spare between you, the truck, and the car in front of you, you need all of that, which is why you're staying that far back to apply the brake. And they go, oh, look, that gap's for me. You go, no, it's for you to brake in. If I gave you the power tomorrow to be in charge of every road across Australia, what would be the first thing you'd do?
Ooh, that's a really hard question.
I know, I like it. I made that one up. Do you like it?
Take potholes out. That would be nice.
Oh, widen the potholes.
Roads.
Widen
the roads. Yeah.
That would get dig. Potholes first. We'll do potholes first, yeah?
Okay, potholes, yeah, sure.
Only the widening the road sounds quite expensive, but filling holes, I reckon we can get that across.
Okay.
But I like what you're saying, widen the roads. What's the weirdest thing or weirdest memory you have that you saw at the front windscreen of your cab? What made you go, oh, what's a memory for you?
I have seen. Oh, these are really tough. I thought this was meant to be fun. That's
why I think they're fun, because they're tough.
Yeah. I've seen a few weird things on the side of the road that you're like, how did this happen? A few cars in weird places that you don't know how on earth they got there. So we'll just go with that.
Have you? I'm not saying I approve of this, but have you seen this sensation that they have on social media where people yell out the window, "You can't park there, mate"?
I've seen that.
It does make me laugh a lot. You don't have to admit you
Yeah.
usually laugh, but when you see like cars like driven down some weird embankment.
If you know that someone's safe, no one's been injured, it's all done, then that's fine. Yeah.
You're good at this, CJ. You're good at this.
Politically correct, huh?
Yeah, good. Last question. We're going out on this one. We're going out with a bang. Would you rather back a B double blindfolded or explain logistics to one of your friends who's not in the game?
Blindfolded. Yeah, I think if I had a good spotter and blindfolded, thank you. Yeah, that'll be
done.
fine. Yeah.
Well, mate, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for your honesty. The fact that at the top of this show you came straight off the bat with me saying, "Hey, how you travelling?" and you said, "Not that well, actually." And again, I want to repeat for anyone listening to this that I can see that you were quite emotional in some of those answers, which means you are really right in the middle of trying to figure those things out. I hope you get back on the road soon, if that's what you want to do.
I'll be back on the road next week. Yeah,
Great.
We'll be back on the road. We're all good. We're all good. We're just being honest that sometimes everything's not as rosy as other times. But I really appreciate the chat with you. You've made this a really beautiful experience.
Oh, good. Well, mate, if we see you on the road, I'll be raising. You won't see me because I'll be down too low unless I'm in one of the trucks that I've got. I'll tip my finger to you. If you go past me, I'll make sure I flash my lights twice so you know it's time to move in. As long as you give me the indicated left, right. Thank you. It's going to be a great day on the road, mate. Take care out there on the black stuff. You're a champion. You've been a trailblazer in so many ways, mate. Huge fan. Great to finally meet you.
Me of you? Are you kidding? This is amazing.
And I've got an outro. I've got an outro that I'd like to do live with you here. It's more enjoyable.
All right.
Oh, have I got the outro here?
Before you do that, can I take a photo of us as well?
Yeah, take a photo.
All right, ready?
Yeah, stand by. I've got to be smiling for you.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you.
Well, CJ, as I'm saying goodbye to you, I've got to do the outro. Here we go. That was CJ. Say yes, it was CJ.
Yes, it was.
See, just one of the truckers you'll meet and how you're travelling. For more honest chats with the people keeping Australia moving, of which CJ is just one. Check out all the episodes. After more tips and tools for your mental health, check out the Healthy Heads app. Say see you on the road, folks, CJ.
See you on the road, guys.
Done. If you're doing it tough, don't go it alone. TX, aka This Is a Conversation Starter, offers 8 free counselling sessions for truckies, tradies and blue-collar workers. No cost, no GP referral, no fuss. Just call 0488 846 988. That number again, 0488 846 988. And if you're feeling overwhelmed and need support right away, call Lifeline on 13 11 14. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.